Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. This is Austin Linney here. And so I heard about Deven last week, and I must have I think I brought you up like 50 times to people. And I got your books from your dad. I can't wait to dig in. I'm so excited. And I said, I got to have him on the podcast. How old are you currently?
I'm currently 15 years old.
15 years old. But what we're going to talk about, kind of start your story kind of where you want to, and then we'll kind of talk about your journey and why you're on the podcast and how you got here.
Well, I have been investing ever since, I started investing when I was 5 years old. I've been going to investment meetings more or less since I was born. My parents started taking me there in a baby carrier. But I'm currently 15 years old, own 46 rental units, am a best-selling author, and I'm currently working on helping teach my generation and inspire all of us to do more, to buy more faster, to improve our lives. And like I titled my first book, if I can do it, so can you.
I love it. And so at 5 years old, what were you investing in?
At 5 years old, I decided I wanted to start investing. And so I went up and asked my dad, or I said, "Hey, Dad, I'd like to start investing. What can I invest in?" And his response to me was, "You should invest in what you know." And the only thing I really knew at the time was Legos. And so I found a way to invest in Legos.
Great. And what did that look like? How did you invest in Legos?
I had seen that Lego retires or stops making their sets after a while. And so, and after they do that, then the price of the set frequently doubles. It seemed that when I was looking for Christmas presents to ask for, some of the sets I won last year, they stopped making them, and so that was much harder to get than when they were making it. And I thought about, I hear this buy low, sell high phrase. If I buy a set for this amount of money and then sell it for twice as much, I get that amount profit. That sounds like a good investment. And so I decided to invest in the biggest set that I had ever built, which was the Lego Death Star. I did this because I had seen they'd been selling it for quite a while. Like in the Lego magazines I got, that one set was in every one I had seen for years. And so I figure, if they're going to retire anything, this seems like the most logical. If this is one of their oldest sets, this is one of the most likely to be retired. And so I was saving up money, but I didn't think I was going fast enough. So I decided to do something even more creative and get a partner. But instead of getting a partner that actually got me more of what I want, which was money, I partnered with my brother because he was comfortable and easy. This is what my dad calls a hand-holding partnership. They don't actually bring something to the table, they're just there to make you feel comfortable. And so by the time we had saved up enough money, Lego had retired the set, and the price went up another $100, which was a lot of money for us at the time. But the price did go up more from that, so we were still doing good then. And then we decided to sell it. But we had decided we already lost $100 from being from not getting the money fast enough. We didn't want to pay eBay's 10% commission. Instead, we would put this on Craigslist, which was cheaper for us, but it also meant we were slowed down through this as well. And then something we did not expect happened. Lego released a new version of the set. And so ours went back down to about what we paid. But I did learn great lessons with this first investment. I learned about if you're going to partner with someone, make sure they give you the value you need. I learned to hire professionals. I also learned that if I was creative, I could do many more deals in many more ways. And finally, I learned to take action, to actually do something and not just dream about it.
So many lessons. I love that. So you're 5, you had the Lego lesson. Now walk us through kind of when you started thinking about maybe real estate was a possible investment.
I bought my first house at 7 years old, and in between the Lego set and actually starting investing in real estate, I had invested in some smaller things like silver, because you can buy an ounce of silver for, at the time it was like 15-20 bucks. Now it's closer to 30, I believe. But still, just about anybody can afford an ounce of silver. So I did that, and I went to a lot more real estate meetings, a lot more learning, started reading some real estate books. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then I decided, I think I'm ready. I want to go buy a house.
And so the thing that I found the most interesting is that your dad has not helped you. You know, everybody, I tell this story, everybody goes, oh, his dad helped him. When you approached your dad and you said, I want to buy a house, what did he say to you?
I don't remember the exact words, but it was something along the lines of, okay, cool. Now let's go find a house, or go find a house.
How'd you find the
And
house? Yeah.
the first house I bought, I found, we drove past it, I think for sale by owner sign or something like that. I was riding with my dad somewhere, probably out to lunch, and saw that, looked into it, and at the time it was worth $80,000, and they were looking to sell it for $50,000. So they were flippers whose loan was about to be called due. They wanted out of the house. They wanted out of it quickly. And with that price, they would still make a small profit. And I thought that was a great deal for me. My problem was financing, because I definitely did not have $50,000, and banks don't exactly want to loan to 7-year-olds.
Agreed.
Actually, when I was writing my first book, I went to 4 banks to see if they would actually give me a bank loan on a property of mine. And what I learned from that is they don't lend to people that are my age, which is why I have to do more creative deal structuring. And for this first one, I actually got a small family office type hedge fund to loan on the deal. They had seen me going to those meetings for years and always wearing a suit, always being professional, or at least as professional as a 7-year-old possibly can be. And so they had seen me there, which helped me with my reputation. And then the house, they couldn't really lose money on it because they're loaning $50,000 on an $80,000 house. So they're pretty much going to make money no matter what happens,
Mhm.
which definitely helped them with that. So they decided they would loan on it, and I just bought the house. I'm still own that house today, and it'll be paid off next year when I'm 16, so I can buy a car. That one
Amazing.
was my dad's idea.
I love that. It's so what was the structure they gave you if they would bring in the 50,000?
$50,000. I'd have to look up what percent interest, but just fully amortized 9-year loan.
And so you still own the house yourself. They didn't take any ownership, right?
Correct.
And so that house is just cash flowing every month and you're paying down that loan, right?
Pretty much, as long as I keep
Oh,
it renting.
I love it. And what was your second property that you found?
After my first house, I bought a mobile home because I needed cash flow. That house had a lot of equity and it was being paid down very quickly, but I did not have much extra cash flow and was barely breaking even when it was rented. And if it was ever not rented, I would have serious issues.
Mhm.
So I bought a mobile home. I bought it from the park owner for just a couple $100. He just wanted the lot rent. He didn't care as much, or he didn't want to deal with any of the tenants or hassles. He just wanted somebody else to do that, pay him lot rent, and then do whatever he wanted to do with his life. And I was happy with that because I got a great cash flowing property for a great price. And
Mhm.
so everybody won. Everybody won. You may see a common theme with my deals where I try to make it so everybody can win. This shouldn't be a you lose so I can win. This should be a we work something out so we can both win.
I love that. So you got the mobile home, you gave some cash flow, and then where did you go from there? Where was like deal 3 and 4 and 5? Like, did you start scaling up or were you still looking for cash flowing assets?
Still looking a lot for cash flow. I mean, cash flow is the main reason I do this, so that's what I focus on in any of my deals.
Mhm.
My next deal happened to be a duplex.
So walk us
After
through,
that, I
yeah,
think I
walk
bought
us
it.
through. How'd you get the duplex financed?
The duplex, I think that duplex was financed through a private lender.
Okay.
And I started using a lot of private lenders here.
Mhm.
That was that's one of my two main methods of financing. Now,
Well, what I think is interesting, right? Because I used to work in the private lending space. Everybody complains to me that they can't find lenders and they can't do that. Yet you're 7 and 8 years old and you're finding lenders. So like, what's your advice to people out there that say that they can't find, private lenders or private money? Like, what do they need to do?
private lenders are, well, everywhere. It's just somebody has money and they want to get a better interest rate than the 0.5% or whatever the bank is giving them. And so you're providing a value to them by giving them a better interest rate, and they're providing a value to you by letting you buy more properties. And this can be from just about anybody. My school evaluator is one of my private lenders. My accountant is one of my private lenders.
I love that. And then so you're gaining cash flow, you're building it up. Then what was the biggest property that you bought as you started scaling?
My biggest property and most creative deal was when I bought 20% of a 60 unit for $20.
Okay. Okay. Yes, there needs to be an entire book on that. So walk us through this deal. I love it.
Chapter 10 of my book is all
There you
about this
go.
deal. So my dad had partnered with a guy to buy this 60 unit. And the partner, his main goal for this was to get the depreciation benefits or the tax write-offs. So he paid less in taxes because he was a very high income person. But the building was not going to make money until that guy was too old to enjoy it. And so he wanted to keep the tax benefits, but not worry about the property. I, however, I was like 10 at the time, 9 or 10 at the time. And so I didn't need the tax write-offs anywhere near as much as him. But was happy to wait for a bit to get a lot more cash flow in 20% of a 60 unit, in part of a 60 unit. And so we made a deal where I got the property, took all the risk of the property. He never has to put money into it, and he gets the depreciation. And so I pay a bit more in taxes, but I can live with that trade for now. And he gets to write off a whole bunch of taxes, and because he's in such a high tax bracket, that benefits him way more than it costs me. So we both end up winning there. Like I said again, another win-win scenario.
So true. I see that a lot of, and this is what you went to, what's your views on like business? Do you like real estate over business, or do you view real estate as a business?
I do real estate as a business. I think that's the right term, at least.
Yeah.
I buy real estate and rent it out to make money. I hire a property management company because I only just recently got my temporary permit to drive, and so I still have to have someone driving with me. And so I can't even drive on my own yet. So going out and fixing properties, trying to do showings, any of that is just not an option for me.
I love it. What would you say? Yeah, what would you say? I find it very inspiring that your dad he's given you lessons, he hasn't given you money. Has he ever told you why he didn't want to help you out with the money part and he wanted you to figure it out? Have you understood this?
To the best of my or from what I understand of it, because I had to do this and earn it myself. If he just gave me the money to buy these properties or gave me the properties, then that would be just him giving something to me. That would just be charity, not me learning how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, if I'm actually going to make it survive in this business, I actually need to know how to do it, not know how to get handouts.
So true. And what would you say, obviously there's a lot of lessons, but what would you say is the biggest lesson just from your families, like that you want to impart on others, the biggest lessons that you've learned on your journey from where you are now to where you're going and then where you will be? What are your lessons that you love to tell people about that have really helped you along?
The two biggest lessons I teach in my books, my speeches, when I'm talking on podcasts, everywhere, is to be creative in everything you do. Be creative about it, and then you can make better deals or more deals for everyone. And take action, because you can be as creative as you want and do as much as you want, but if you don't take action, if you don't actually follow through and close on the properties, then none of it really matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say the number one lesson that I try to tell people is like, if you haven't actually closed on the property, then we're really not talking about anything here. We're talking about hypothetical. And so I like to talk in factual. So that is a great lesson. And then talk to us, like, so you're buying properties, you're starting to go to more real estate events. And then how did the first book come to fruition?
The first book came when I was at the National Real Estate Summit, run by OREA. Great conference, if you can make it to it, first weekend of November each year. And there's a speaker who was saying, who is selling his essentially book publishing course, and telling everybody why it really helps set them apart and everything. And I thought about it and was like, every night my dad tells me to dream about making the world a better place. And if I have a book that can sell and give away to people, then that would make a lot of people's lives better, if they read it and used some of the information. So yeah, this would absolutely do what I want to do. And so I got the course, I went through it, and I published a book. The book, called If I Can Do It, So Can You, is currently available on Amazon, if anybody watching or listening to this is interested.
You definitely need to. Your dad told me about the story when you met Chicken Soup for the Soul author Mark, and how you handed him a book. And I just love how you really like took your opportunity. Like, share us that story of how you met him and what that relationship's meant to you moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. That first book, which is pretty much a beginner's guide to getting investing in real estate, you could call it a easy how-to guide written by an 11-year-old, so anybody can understand it pretty much. For anybody that didn't listen to my dad's podcast, I went up to the world's best-selling author other than God, Mark Victor Hansen, author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, The 1 Minute Millionaire, and a bunch of other great books, and handed him a book. Just, hey, if I hand this book to enough people, maybe one of them will like it and share it with more people. But Mark thought that was so awesome that I had written that first book. And then a week or two later, I get a call from his partner. And that guy told me, Mark Victor Hansen called me up and called me 3 or 4 times saying, you gotta get this kid to write a book with us. And I'm not saying no to Mark Victor Hansen. And so I went through and published the second book, The Garage, which is less of a how-to and more of a fun book for kids and teenagers. A fictional story that also teaches some great lessons about business and investing. And so I could help a lot more kids that way, a lot of the younger people, and have it be a really fun experience. Because if you're not having fun, then you're not going to want to continue.
Agreed. And I think, us adults, for lack of a better word, I still think I'm, 17 at heart, but we treat business as this thing where we have to white knuckle it. We have to take all the fun out of it. And I think that's why a lot of people aren't having as much joy in their work anymore, to really understand that this is a game, and when you treat it as such, it'll be
that's
it'll be
how
better.
I got started. I played the game Cash Flow, and so I was just playing that game, but in real life. Probably why I got started in real estate, because I was just playing the game, except for real, and I get to make real money from it. I can buy more Legos with, was probably my original idea.
And what is your, you're 15 now, you just got your learner's permit, you published 2 books, you got real estate. Talk to us about the next, 3 to 4 years. Like, what's on your vision board? What are you looking to do? Kind of stuff like that.
Coming up in the next few years, I'm planning on, I'm currently in the process of writing a second book in the same series as The Garage. And current title is The Fall and Rise of Atlas Gold.
Okay. Wow.
And I plan to do a lot more speaking, go on a lot more podcasts, talk to a lot more people, and then just continue from there. Really help teach more and more people, and especially teaching kids. I currently, a month or two ago, I started a young entrepreneurs group for between 10 and 25-year-olds called Millionaires in Training, MIT, where we have weekly meetings and different places to talk to other kids and teens that want to get started in investing or want to grow their investing business.
That's amazing. I love that. What I was going to say is, you know, when you look back, you know, it's the reason it inspires me so much. Like I love everything that you've accomplished, and I love that. But it drives me crazy how many people let their fears or their limiting beliefs hold them back. And just to see you like just pushing through it and figuring it out and being a solution-based thinker, that's why it inspires me so much. So my hope is that you can inspire somebody else to get out of their own way, right, with your books or your learning or this podcast. And that's why I get so excited about it, because it's so important to me. Like I'm sure you say the same thing, where you're just like, hey man, just go do it. Like just go do it. It's really not like,
Go out, be creative, take action.
yeah, I love it. So what has been the most, besides meeting Victor Mark Hansen, the book author, what has been the most surreal moment for you? Was that first time you spoke on stage, or like when was that like wow moment?
I've had plenty of wow moments in the last few years. Actually having a book published, my first time speaking on stage, which was in front of over 100 people. Getting to meet Mark Victor Hansen, that was a pretty wow moment. Getting to meet Robert Kiyosaki,
It's amazing.
and then a few months later getting to eat dinner with him, kind of.
That's awesome.
But just, I've had plenty of wow moments.
Well, are you going to start a podcast?
Multiple people have asked me that, and I might eventually, but have not committed to doing anything just yet.
I love it. So if people want to find your book, they want to connect with you, how would they do that? Where do they go?
To see our books, links to our books, articles we write, our newsletter. Our family has a newsletter. Eric probably talked about that. My dad. Go to clearskytrainer.com. Once again, clearskytrainer.com, and that will have links to our books, some articles and stuff to read, our weekly newsletter, other good reading that you can do that aren't necessarily by our family, some different events and things you might want to go to.
Well, it's just wonderful. I can't thank you enough for coming on here. I hope everybody leaves this interview inspired. I'm so excited to dig into the books, to read them myself. I used to give, and Robert Kiyosaki, if you're listening, I apologize, but he's probably not. But I used to give Rich Kid, Poor Kid to my friends' kids at Christmas, but now I think I might have to give your book. So that's going to be my new Christmas gift out this year. So
if I'm
excited
with Robert Kiyosaki, I will take that as an absolute win.
I love it. Guys, if you got some value from this episode, send it to a friend, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.